Hey folks, we are live. Woohoo! I'm just going to give Jill the link to YouTube so she can put it up in the group. Sorry, all right, we're back. Jill apparently likes my title for this. Who am I? Why am I here? Today's been kind of hectic. I had like a bunch of stuff I was getting done this morning, and then we went to the chiropractor, and then I had some review I had to do on some client ads, and then we had a training class on making reels. Now it's lunch with Mal. Then we're onboarding a new client, and then it's writing sprints. It's just like go, 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 and I'm gonna be like on camera for like pardon me, like 5 hours today, which isn't actually super uncommon a lot of days. There was like a stretch I went through where I wasn't on camera all the time, and now it feels like I spend like 10 a.m. till 4 or 5 in the afternoon, like almost always on camera. Maybe with like 15-minute breaks here and there. So who's here today? Say hello. Jill's going to get the link up in all the places, so I'm not going to worry about that. But yeah, here we are. So the quote, "Who am I? Why am I here?" Does anyone remember where that's from? Like who are my old peeps here that remember where that quote's from? Yeah, James, I get the. I mean, when you join any of our roundtables, your camera's always off, so I definitely get that feeling from you that you don't like being on camera. Um, that sounds bang on from Maui. Oh man, I'm just instantly jealous. How does it feel to know you can just say where you are, and people like I'm guessing you live there, and people are just instantly jealous all the time. And hello, Victoria, and hello, Jill. Jill remembers the VP debate. All right, but you already know because we both say this all the time. Does anybody else remember the VP debate that this is from? So I'm waiting for you. Quote from the Chamber of Secrets. Like what? Like Harry Potter? I don't think so. I mean, maybe. I think this predates the Harry Potter quote. It's how I feel sometimes. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm being pulled in so many directions. Where am I going? Um, to my knowledge, for me at least, it became popularized in the VP debate in Clinton's second election run, and it was oh God, who was the third party candidate? It was Ross, right? But no, not I always Jill, help me out. It was the secondary candidate, and it was some general who was his VP, and he said that. And I barely remember like the actual debate. I just remember the Saturday Night Live version of it, um, which I think is like half of my memory. I don't remember real events. I just remember the Saturday Night Live version of real events, at least from the Ross. It was Ross Perot, right? Thank you. Not Rose Perot, though. I bet probably Ross Perot. I feel bad for the guy because he was just joking. He was like, "Hey, you're all wondering why? Who am I? Why am I here?" And they just took that quote out of context and ran with it. Um, but hey, so yeah, this is this is first full week of March. Um, I was looking at, I was like planning out my month, and I'm just like, damn it, this year is going back fast, way too fast. But on the plus side, my seedlings are coming up, so I'm happy about that. On the downside, walk out this morning, some animals stripped the bark off of all three of my apple trees. So we had an apple tree that was like 8 years old at this point. It was getting pretty big. It was like a 15-foot tall apple tree, dead. And so are my smaller apple trees because they stripped off enough of the bark. There's just that I know of. There's no way around that. They're just going to be toast. So we'll get to reconfigure the front yard this year and not have that anymore. Hooray! I did update the link, Jenna, but yeah, it was up until just a little while ago. The link went to the wrong place. But yeah, do subscribe and follow to. You can either do it to my Mallory Cooper account, or you can do it to the Writing Wives account. We have so right now school. If you're getting here through school, the link in school is to the Writing Wise page. So you can subscribe and mark the thing to ring the bell for that, or you can always come to my Mallory Cooper page on YouTube. I always stream Lunch with Mal to both those places, as well as my personal profile on YouTube, and the oh yeah, that's it. I thought for a second I did it to the Writing Wise page as well, but I don't because who uses pages. Um, you might be on a different account because I stream to the two places on YouTube. There, that's that. There's that comment, honey. Dana trying to dump them in the woods, driving away like Phil Hartman. Oh, you're talking about the VP. Okay, I'm there. Our apple trees did really well, Sydney, but they won't this year. And one of them was a crabapple tree. I've wanted a crabapple tree for so many years, and it's like on his third year. And I grew it from like I got like I didn't get like a full size or like a more grown tree. It was like a twig. It was like this big that I grew it from. It took me a moment there to realize you meant Dana Carvey, honey. I got there though. I got there. Um, but yeah, so apple trees are dead. So that's lovely. I guess I'll get to burn some apple wood in the fire pit, so that'll smell nice at least. Um, and good morning, Dharma. How are you doing this morning? So sorry I was on lunch with Mel late though. Like I said, I was doing the real training for our basic ads class. Um, but what do we have going on right now in author world? I think a lot of probably with the discourse in author world right now is around Amazon boycotts. And like I'm down with boycotting Amazon in general. I'm down with right now. I feel like I'm down with boycotting like all big businesses and trying to buy local as much as possible to support small businesses and stuff like that. Which, to be honest, is probably something that shouldn't be an act of protest. You know, it should maybe more just be like a way that I operate in general. But I do think actually that, you know, as authors, we probably need to be careful about our messaging to our readers around this. I know some people are saying things in ways that they come off as angry and defensive, and that's not really great for themselves or for authors in general. And I think the way that I would put it to, especially when it comes to KU, this is how I would explain it to readers, and that is that KU is a pie. It's so when authors get paid money out of KU, it's not like more reads equals more money exactly. It's more reads equal a bigger slice of the pie. Um, and if you're a conscientious objector to the billionaires and the oligarchy and what have you, and you've decided not to read, chances are you're probably also a reader of more left-leaning authors. So this is the messaging I'd be saying to my readers. And I know my readers fit in this by and large, right? Like if they're reading me, like a trans woman and a bunch of queer female main characters in my books, I'm pretty sure that we're all on the left side of the spectrum. But if you don't read those authors, well, you can be sure that the people on the other side of the political spectrum are likely reading authors who are also on the other side of the political spectrum. And so all that happens is they just get a bigger piece of the pie. So if you, like I said, if you are being a conscious objector, and again, this is messaging to readers, and you stop reading your favorite authors who are likely also politically aligned with you, all you're doing is hurting them and rewarding authors on the other side of the political spectrum. So I would sort of like summarize something along the lines of, when it comes to books, just read books. You know, it's books are, and the other argument I think I would add is books are a loss leader for Amazon. Amazon does not make any noteworthy money off of books. And if you read in KU on Amazon and don't actually buy anything else, and your goal is to hurt Amazon, you're probably doing it because they're kind of counting on the loss leader element with books to actually make money off of you. So it's like, yeah, not reading is not the kind of protest that I think people might think it is. Is sort of my thoughts on that. Sydney says, I had your real training on beside me, listening while sorting through emails. I find the idea of learning another new thing overwhelming. I want to get my still images working first in Facebook ads. You know what, Sydney? I should have said that at the beginning of the real training, you know? And I'm really glad you brought that up, by the way. I'm going to mention that tomorrow in the Q&A, that you don't have to do reels right now. You can just do still images and save that reel training for later, and any analysis of reels and whatnot, save that for later once you've got still images cooking, because you don't need to do them both right away. And in fact, when we get into making ads, I'm going to have everyone start with still image ads too, even though if people may have made reels, we will start with still images. And hello, Seth Rose, how are you doing? So I'm curious what people think about that, about my messaging to readers on boycotting books. If you guys agree, if you guys have other points that you'd bring up, if you think that it's we should be doing it anyway, if you think that talking to readers about this is dumb, like any angles. I'm really curious. You're very welcome, Sydney. Very curious what you guys' thoughts on that are. I have noticed a downturn in KU results for a lot of authors since the beginning of this month. But oftentimes there's dips at the beginning of the month. It's almost like a perennial thing that's happening right now. I guess not perennial, per monthenial. Is that a word? It's been happening a lot over the last few months. I don't know if it's just Amazon reporting glitches or just delays. Maybe their systems get really busy at the end of the month doing stuff, and they're trying to save money, so they get a backlog of reads data that doesn't get processed right away. Or if it's human behavior where people are a little bit tighter on cash, and they need to wait till their paycheck actually like clears and the money's available. I'm not sure what the angle might be, but I have noticed beginning of month being a bit of a dip lately, and middle of the month being really strong a lot of times. And then a couple of months have had like flourishes at the end of the month. It's been kind of strange. But I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. But I have been seeing authors who've been seeing zero dip as well. So that's what makes me think that any kind of significant decrease in sales that we may or may not be seeing is not like is probably not being driven by readers piecing out on Amazon. So curious what some thoughts are. I agree with supporting authors even though they're on Amazon, but it's a bitter pill to swallow giving money to it right now. Yeah, and just I guess the thing to keep in mind for everybody is that you can almost do the math for your reader. It'd be like if you read this many books, you are now costing Amazon more money than your KU subscription earned them. And be like, so instead of decreasing the amount of KU reading you're doing on Amazon, increase the amount of reading you're doing on KU above this amount. Like that might actually be worth doing. Maybe I'll do the math on that. Well, actually, I can probably rough out that math right now. So let's say it's a 300-page book times 0.0042. So $1.26 off a 300-page book is about what we make. So if a reader were to read, well, what is this KU subscription? Is it $12 a month right now? So you would, if a reader reads 10 books or more in KU in a month, they're costing Amazon money. So that's the solution. It's not read less books on Amazon, it's read more books on Amazon. Crank that number up, crank up those KU reads. All right, Shouty says, my take on Amazon boycott is it's a thing to encourage more authors to go live. I get that it takes time. It's not something people can do instantly. I also agree with that. I thought last year was going to be the year of direct sales, and it didn't pan out that way because Facebook advertising got too flaky with their AI ad targeting for a lot of people. It's gotten better, but it's not as easy as it was like at the end of 2023 to run direct sales ads. But maybe this will be it. Maybe this will be the watershed that will cause readers to change their behavior enough to want to buy books from places other than Amazon. That direct sales ends up becoming like more of a thing. Sydney says, I've noticed reviews for authors and Freer says, I just want to be entertained. I didn't like the author putting in a political viewpoint. I think that applies to trying to boycott. All art is political. That's my take. All art is always political. It is impossible for art to not be political. So long as our politics is about things like human rights and feeding people and giving people health care and making or not making war on other people or supporting or not supporting war, as long as our politics covers those kinds of topics and it's not just like, should we build a new bridge, art will always be political. It will be, and I suspect that the overarching scenarios I just described will never change. So all art will always be entirely political. That's my take on that. You don't have to agree with me, but you can't. People, when it comes to reviews, whatnot, people are also going to bring themselves to the review. In fact, if you read reviews, if you look at the reviews of your books, and you sort of take off your author hat and put on your I'm an entirely different person hat who is not related to these books at all, and read them, what you'll find is that 90% of the reviews are not about your book. They're about the person reading the book and that person's personal expectations and wants and desires. 10% of the reviews are actually going to be about your book. And a great example is I had these two reviews back to back that came in on my book Out System. And one of them, and this was years ago. This was 2017, 2018, somewhere in that range. Probably 2017, I think. And the review said, I can't believe this author is so unabashedly pro-violence and pro-gun. I'm never reading anything by them again. And the very next review said, this author is clearly an anti-gun liberal, pushing their political views, and I will never read anything by them again. So that was the point where I realized I can't please anybody. I can't please everybody. Certainly can't please those two people. And I need to stop trying to do that. I just need to be my authentic self, doing my authentic stories. Shouty agrees. All part is political. There you go, honey. So doom scrolling, just scroll through KU books. Exactly. Yeah, just bring them up on like a device and just have it on your phone, just page through it throughout the day. Just give people reads. I mean, that might screw people's read through a little bit, but I'm sure that not enough people actually do that to cause an impact. Okay, so I might mention my books. They can get my books. Might mention they can get my books on any retailers if they don't want to buy on Amazon. I think that's a great thing to do. Be like, hey, you want to support? Well, Kobo is not owned by a Canadian company anymore, but you want to support? There's a couple of smaller, like actual, like indie style book retailers out there. I don't know who's currently good. I should do some research on that. And then, James, don't you run your own Shopify as well? Because if you're wide, you should be. Because that's always the best thing. Buy direct from the author. Shopify gets like 3 to 5%, and that's it. All the other money goes to the author. Jane said, I think most readers want us to shop and write. Not saying that's the best way to follow your heart. Going on is possibly the best way to stick it to Amazon. Yeah. Or do what I do. Leave your books in KU and put them out wherever else you want. Just break the rules. Nobody tell Amazon. Nobody snitches. Remember, we don't snitch on Mallory for doing this. I'm also not actively pushing my direct sales right now, but you really want to stick it to Amazon, and you don't care if they kick you out at KU ultimately, then just have your cake and eat it too. I wouldn't, but theoretically, this is not actual advice I'm giving you. I am not a lawyer. All disclaimers apply to that statement. It'll happen that's a different guess. Okay. Even if you don't intentionally put politics in your story, some people will find it anyways. Exactly, James. And that, to what I was saying about my books, people thinking that I'm a gun nut and or terribly anti-gun. In the same book, back to back, like these people probably read within the same day even. So yeah. Cool. I'm not sure what you're agreeing with, but I'm glad you're agreeing, Sydney. And PayHip, yeah, PayHip then gets, they're going to get that cut rather than Shopify, but point made. Like, yeah, authors, we do make like 95%ish of the money off of direct sales. So if people really want to stick it to the man, then maybe that's what they'll start doing. And that's why maybe this year will be the year of direct sales for authors. I also feel like I've got this inkling that at some point, when someone actually properly figures out blockchain technology, which is one of the things that underpins crypto, that eventually the books can just be out there in the blockchain, and then when people read them, we get like X number of Bitcoins or something like that. I don't know. I have this vision of some sort of like auto magical thing happening where all the books just exist in the universe in some sort of amorphous glob. It's somewhat unformed in my mind, but I'm just like, how can we even move one step beyond having to pay a company like Shopify or PayHip, which means at a certain percent we're paying Visa and MasterCard, which are not companies that anyone is actually super keen on. Like, how can we even do this without them? We got rid of the publishers. We got rid of the need to have a brick and mortar location for our books. We got rid of the need to have editorial departments and agents saying what we can or cannot put into our books. We can write our books the way we want, but we're still we've started to get rid of the need to have the retailers. How do we get rid of the need to actually have someone else processing the payments? That would be the really cool thing to get to that sort of nirvana where it's like some sort of non-taxable, credit card processy interaction between reader and author for value exchange. I feel like I've got like this idea floating my mind around in my mind for that. That's like just on the cusp of becoming a thing. It's been there for like a couple of years now. I'm holding out hope that I'll actually figure out how someone could do something like that. Right, Dharma says, I just lower prices on Shopify store while keeping them the same on wide retailers, giving readers an additive incentive. Yeah, I do that a lot with people that I work with, Dharma. We do it mainly through bundles, but sometimes we'll do it in the individual titles as well, where they'll be $1 less. Although what we usually do is we increase them on the retailers, leave Shopify the same. But you can always play with whatever option works out best for you. How do you decide when to leave KU and create and run a Shopify store? Honestly, it's a different decision for everyone. Some people are like, they're at a point where like, well, writing is not currently a major source of income for me, so therefore I'm not losing anything by getting out of KU. Other people are like, I'm making so much money that I could actually lose the KU revenue and be fine. And there are people who are in the middle who make the decision as well. Some people make the decision because they're just like, well, I don't like having all my eggs in one basket. It just gives them hives, and they want to diversify, but they can't while they're in KU, so they leave for that reason. There's so many reasons why you might leave KU at any given time and go why. It is worth noting though that Shopify does cost you $40 a month. So even if you aren't managing to sell any books in your Shopify store, it's going to be an expense. So do keep that in mind. That, if you're not ready to dive into it, you might not want to add that additional expense. So he says, are you and Jill going to host another author evening? It was a gym, if I remember. Yeah, we ever go to a really nice gym, and they have like this really nice lounge that's actually super cheap to rent. We actually did it in the late afternoon because it's super cheap to rent in the late afternoon and not nearly as cheap to rent in the evening. We might do another one. I should talk with Jill about that. We are doing at least we're planning on doing an actual like author conference, and it would actually take place at the gym as well, ironically of all things, because it would involve like hanging out by the pool in a cabana as well, because they have this really nice outdoor pool. So we are also strategizing to move out of the United States back to Canada, so I'm not entirely sure if that's going to happen, but it is kind of like in our pockets. Did I ever hear correctly that we have dynamic creative on for our ads? Why do we do that? Dynamic creative on for still image ads, dynamic creative off for video ads. And the reason why you want to use dynamic creative ideally you'd use dynamic creative for everything, but Facebook fucks it up for video ads, so we can't use it for them. It used to work fine, but now it doesn't anymore. Now you have to use standard creative. So that scenario aside is because the image that appeals to you may not be the image that appeals to me. You might like images with setting and scenery, and I might like images with characters, and I might be much more likely to click on a blue image, and you might be much more likely to click on a red image. Maybe I love black and white, and you can get me to click on a black and white image like crazy. All of these different things can affect who is likely to see your image and click on it, because Facebook also knows Mallory clicks on images of people. So we don't show her ads with setting and scenery. We show her ads with people. And actually, this might be true because my ads pretty much exclusively all have people in them that I get. And so with dynamic creative, it allows us to put in all these different options, and then Facebook will make a decision on a per human basis which image to show them. And if you were to try to do that without dynamic creative, you'd have to make a ton of ads, and it's just a lot more work and or more money depending on how it all gets set up. So dynamic creative is it's nice, it's smooth, it's super convenient, and it makes it a lot less work for making ads. You could have like one ad set that's not set to dynamic creative, and let's say make 5 ads inside of it, each one with their own image. However, you lose that per human optimization thing where Facebook is actually showing the ads to the right people based on based on what they're more likely to click on. So that's why I like doing dynamic creative. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, and just sort of like that, wrapping up that prior thought. Yeah, Jill and I are planning on at some point moving to Canada, so we're starting to plan that out and strategize that, because I'm Canadian, and Jill actually lived in Canada for a while, for 3 years, so she's pretty Canada friendly. I think she's enthusiastic, except like we've built a life here and don't want to leave that. But that currently isn't changing any of our plans for the writing wives in school, anything like that going forward. So everything as far as that's concerned will keep on happening. Hello, Peg Monster, otherwise known as Tim. This is one of my readers, so they found me. And they're like, where's the book? Which I totally appreciate. I've finished writing the rough draft, beginning to end, Tim, and I'm going through edits now. So I'm gonna have to give it one more pass through a proofreader because it's been such a long process. But it is happening. In fact, for like 3 hours this afternoon, I'll be working solid on it, sprinting. So, are you from Canada, Shody? Or are you just giving props to Canada because both of those are okay? But I think that's kind of all I have to talk about today. I was just mostly a little bit about the boycott, how I don't see any clear evidence that it's having a major impact, but I do think it's worth communicating to readers that this boycott is not. It's hurting authors more than it's hurting Amazon. That's for sure. So I would love for people to keep that in mind. I live in the UK. Okay, but yeah, still pro Canada. Save the king, all that jazz. Victoria says, I'm planning to target women interested in fashion for my Facebook ads. Do you think I should target genres along with that for the ad? I think what I would probably do is I would target women who are into fashion, and then I would use the define further or narrow audience button, whatever it's called in your account, and then put in fiction books and novels, and then have my ad creative do the rest of the filtering for me, have it screen book and genre and all that in the actual ad images itself. Yes, you'll be one of the first because I'm definitely going to want you to read it with a keen eye to make sure I haven't made any mistakes. The biggest thing I have yet to do in my book is I need to go through and with a fine-tooth comb normalize the way the aliens talk. I have a couple things I have to figure out yet, whether or not they will use words like they or we in their speech. So I've got to, or if I'm going to make up some new words for them to be using in those scenarios. But that will be one of the biggest things. Okay, no, I wouldn't. If I build an audience that's around targeting a non-reading interest, don't mix it with reading interest because then you muddy the waters as to whether or not it's going to work. So, build your main filter based on the broader interest kind of thing you want to do, like fashion and clothing and all that jazz, and then narrow by just fiction books, etc. If you were like a romance author and you're trying to do like a Sex and the City thing, then I might say narrow by romance novels. But I would choose in your case just to narrow by fiction books and novels. And then, like I said, have your ad creative then convey the mysticism, the life journey elements along with the fashion, because you're still going to want to use that to try to capture people. Where in Canada are you relocating to? Very likely New Brunswick too. That's our current. We currently have our eyes. We really want to stay near an ocean. Jill needs proximity to ocean and to beach, and the west coast in Canada is way too expensive to live on. So it's going to be the east coast. We did think about moving back to the prairies, but we're like, it's dark all the time and really cold and there's no ocean. So despite the fact my family's there, it's kind of like, not super keen on that. All right, though, I am going to jet because I have to get ready for another call. I want to do a bit of prep work for that. But I appreciate you guys all hanging out here with me, even though we were a little bit late. Oh, one last question. Thank you, Tim. I put a lot of work into the aliens and making them alien and making them feel alien in every way. It's been a labor of love for me. And there's 2 alien species in this book, so it's even more. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. I will see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, but hopefully on time. And if you are in school, we are doing writing sprints at 2 p.m. It's in the calendar. And again, tomorrow at 1 p.m. And of course, if you're taking the basic ads class in school, the Q&A is tomorrow at 11 p.m., all times Eastern. So I will see you folks around. All right. Bye, GT. Bye, everybody. Have a fabulous day and an awesome weekend when it shows up. Ciao.